You're lying in bed, you're tired, your muscles ache, your bones ache, your brain's wide awake. You can't sleep. So why does it feel like your body missed the memo that it's time to go to sleep? Maybe you've tried chamomile tea, lavender tea, maybe even melatonin or ashwagandha or something else, even Epsom salt baths, but nothing's working for you. And you're still staring at the ceiling thinking, oh God, I have to get up in an hour or 30 minutes. And you're counting down the time, right? I want you to pause right there. Pause right there for a moment. Because that anxiety often comes with a lot of self-blame. And I want you to know that this isn't your fault, okay? And it's definitely not because you're not resting properly or not sleeping right. So what if I told you that there's a really good reason that your body is wired at night when you feel completely exhausted? And the fix isn't necessarily forcing your body to relax, but instead learning how to gently guide your system back into safety. So today we're going to break all of that down, why it happens, what your body's really trying to do, and some simple steps that can help you sleep better tonight. So no fluff, no pressure, just some clarity and hopefully better sleep for you tonight. Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Mackenzie and welcome back to Bloom and Well. If you're here, you know what it feels like when your body is so tired it could collapse. Your brain's still buzzing, you have so much fatigue, your heart's racing, and it feels like your entire system is running a marathon at midnight. And that's what we in the functional medicine and the holistic health and health and wellness field call wired but tired. It's this really frustrating disconnect where your energy's gone, but you still have this mental alertness that is just increasingly persistent. But the thing is, it's not you being lazy. It's not you not knowing how to sleep. It's literally your body's stress response system stuck in the on position. So think of it like a light switch that flips on and off. Let's break this down for a moment. Your brain has a command center called the HPA axis, which stands for hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. Basically, this is a communication loop between your brain, your adrenal glands, and they pump out stress hormones to tell your body, hey, there's danger, let's react. Now, when things in your life start to feel really overwhelming, whether it's physically, emotionally, mentally, it starts to send out these chemical signals to release things like cortisol, which is one of your body's primary stress hormones. I know cortisol has a bit of a bad reputation right now, but it's not a bad thing, right? It's not necessarily bad because cortisol helps us survive. It helps us stay alert to respond to challenges and dangers that pop up. The problem is, though, when that cortisol stays elevated for way too long, especially at night, it is going to keep your nervous system in that go mode. And that means that your body is not able to switch into that rest and digest mode and fall asleep and stay asleep. It's kind of like leaving your car engine running after you've parked. So the lights are off, the keys are out, but something's still humming, something's still buzzing, something somewhere is still on, right? That is your nervous system when it's dysregulated. Something's still on. And that's why even when you are beyond exhausted, your body still won't let you sleep. So if you've ever thought, well, why do I feel like I'm running on fumes, but I still can't fall asleep? Like, I'm so tired. This is why. It's not in your head. It's not willpower. It's not a lack of self-control. It is biology. And understanding this, just knowing how your body works and that your body isn't broken, it's just stuck in that survival mode, is the first step to getting unstuck. If your body is in this wired but tired state, the real question then becomes why? What is keeping your specific nervous system stuck in that mode and unable to power down? So let's walk through some of the most common sneaky root causes that could be keeping you awake at night, even when you're beyond exhausted. I want you to take a moment while we go through these and notice what feels familiar for you and let me know in the comments below. First up we have is chronic stress. So stress is an obvious one, but I don't just mean big, dramatic, all over the place kind of stress that nobody can miss, right? I'm talking about that low grade chronic stress that's just constantly poking you, right? Poking's not that painful, but it's really freaking annoying when it's just nonstop, right? And that accumulates over time and does eventually cause some pain. So this can be, you having all of this pressure to keep it all together, right? This constant mental to-do list, this overwhelm, this emotional overwhelm, even past trauma that your body has still remembered and that's kind of clinging on to, even though your brain's moved on. So when your nervous system gets used to being in that high alert mode all the time, it often forgets how to come back down, how to relax. So even when your day is over, your body might not feel safe enough to rest because of the past. And it's like trying to sleep with one eye open, right? And if this is you, I want to say that you're not weak for feeling this way. There are so many women who have chronic illnesses, so many women who feel emotionally overwhelmed, all of this pressure, all of this anxiety, absolutely burned out to the core. And this is your body adapting, right? At some point you had so much stress accumulate, your body said, hey, I need to deal with this. This is how I'm going to deal with it, right? And it's doing the best that it can. But we've come to a point, you're here, you found this video, and now your body needs help remembering that it's safe to let it go. Another important one is blood sugar crashes. So this is one that people don't often think about, but I do think it's picking up speed in the health and wellness community, which I'm excited about. But blood sugar makes a huge impact on your emotions, on your nervous system, your hormones, and your sleep. So if your meals during the day, especially dinner, are really high in refined carbs, but low in protein or fat, your blood sugar might spike and then crash while you're sleeping. When that crashes, your body starts to send out cortisol to bring your blood sugar back up. Cortisol means you're alert, you're wide awake. Now you're lying there bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, not because of your thoughts, but because your body's trying to keep you alive. I've had so many patients who come to me, and I dealt with this as well when I was bedridden with my chronic illness. 2 to 4 a.m. every morning on the dot, anxiety, palpitations, feeling this impending doom. Something is seriously wrong. I need to call an ambulance. Oh, what's happening? Possibly blood sugar and cortisol. A really simple shift, like adding a small amount of protein or a healthy fat, like some mixed nuts and seeds or a boiled egg or two, can do wonders for your sleep at night. Number 3, we also have inflammation or histamine reactions. So a lot of these people don't realize inflammation, especially when you're dealing with things like food sensitivities or chronic allergies or histamine intolerance, maybe even like mold sensitivities. Histamine isn't just a chemical that causes allergy symptoms, right? It also acts as a neurotransmitter that can keep your brain alert and anxious. And guess what? Histamine levels can naturally rise at night. So you might notice you get stuffier in the evenings, or maybe you break out in hives if your histamine levels are super high and the inflammation levels are really high. For me, what would happen when I was at my lowest point and I was bedridden, every single night, really hot red feet, I would break out in hives all over, couldn't hardly breathe, like with shortness of breath, but also just my sinuses were always stuffy. My ears had me so dizzy, my equilibrium was off because they felt really full and had a lot of pressure. All of this was tied to histamines, right? And my nervous system and stress and cortisol and inflammation. That restlessness that you could be feeling at night might be a result of that internal inflammation amping up your system when you are trying to wind down. So, and histamines could also be another culprit between that 2 to 4 a.m. wake up. Oftentimes with my patients and myself, I would notice the difference between histamines and cortisol is more so when my patients had histamines being the issue in the middle of the night. They would also overheat. They would get the racing heart, the anxiety and stuff, but they would also get really hot, especially the feet. Another one's going to be circadian rhythm disruption. So let's talk about your internal clock. That is your circadian rhythm. So this is essentially your body's natural sleep-wake cycles. It functions on this natural clock, right? And it's heavily influenced by light exposure, meaning naturally it's supposed to be influenced by the sun. I'm pointing back here because it rises back there at my house. But naturally it's supposed to be influenced by the sun. Now in the modern day and age, it gets influenced by a lot of blue lights. So when you scroll on your phone late at night in the evening, or you stay indoors all day without natural sunlight, your brain starts to get confused. It doesn't know what time of day it is. It doesn't know what it needs to do. You're not getting sunlight in the morning. Your body doesn't know, hey, it's time to start the day and get my energy levels up. And it sounds so simple, I know, but truly your body works on this clock. And when you have too much blue light at night, it still thinks it's daytime. So all of that confusion messes with your melatonin, which is the hormone that helps you fall asleep, right? A lot of people, you may have heard of melatonin because it's something that people might buy over the counter to help them sleep, but your body naturally produces it, and there are natural ways that you can help to boost that. And because those blue lights prevent proper melatonin production at night, it also keeps cortisol higher than it should be in the evenings. So even just 10 to 15 minutes of natural sunlight first thing in the morning when you wake up and dimming the lights about an hour before bed can help to reset that circadian rhythm. We also have nervous system dysregulation. I know you guys have heard me talk about this 1,000 times. This is like, this is my jam. So this is the one that really weaves into all of the others. When your body has spent a lot of time in survival mode, whether it's due to burnout or trauma, overstimulation, just life in general, your body and your nervous system expects stress, even if there's nothing going on, right? It's always waiting for the other shoe to drop, even if you're taking a shower, even if you're laying in bed, even if you're resting on the couch or trying to cook dinner. It's constantly on high alert. It's always scanning your environment for a threat. So that is definitely a big reason why you might be feeling tired but wired. Or maybe you startle really easily at night, kind of like your system's just waiting for something to go wrong. But the hopeful part is that this can change. Your nervous system learned how to be stressed and how to stay on high alert, but it can also learn how to come back to baseline, how to come back into balance, and to rest, how to feel safe again. And that's what we're going to talk about next. Let's have a heart-to-heart for a second, because if you've been struggling to sleep, even when you're exhausted, you've probably heard a lot of well-meaning advice. Maybe you've even tried it, right? Just meditate before bed, take melatonin, go to sleep earlier. Maybe you're just a night owl. And if you've tried these things and they're not working for you, I can guarantee you probably feel more frustrated, right? Or worse, like it's your fault, like you're not doing something right or something's wrong with you. But I want to say this with so much love. It is not your fault that those things didn't work. Because the truth is, those strategies only work when your nervous system already feels safe. And that might be the missing piece for you. If your body's still stuck in survival mode, your system isn't looking for stillness, it's looking for a threat. So forcing yourself to relax with a 10-minute meditation or melatonin is kind of like trying to fall asleep inside a burning house, right? You can't mind over matter your way out of a body that doesn't feel safe enough to rest. We have to teach it to feel safe. It's because the tools you have been given were not designed for a dysregulated nervous system, for burnout. And what your body actually needs isn't more pressure to perform or to rest perfectly, right? How many times have you listened to a meditation before bed and then maybe you got off track and then you're like, oh, I'm going to start the meditation over? I've done that, but I've had clients as well that have done that many times. That's pressure. We don't want to add more pressure to you, right? Your nervous system needs that safety. It needs consistency, regulation, systems, and reassurance. Dive into some body-based ways that are going to help your system shift out of that survival mode and back to rest. So, regulating your cortisol with light exposure. I know we touched on this earlier, but it is so simple yet so powerful, completely free, takes 5 to 10 minutes, 15 if you really want to be an overachiever. Your body's natural sleep-wake cycle is influenced when you're exposed to light, right? So when you wake up in the morning, or as soon as that sun comes up, if you wake up super early before the sun's even awake, go outside, even if it's a cloudy day. No, like try to take your glasses off and make sure your eyes are not necessarily staring straight at the sun, but getting that natural light directly in them. We don't want to wear sunglasses if possible, because it is going to block some of the rays. So that sunlight is going to hit your eyes, go into your brain and say, hey, it's daytime, it's time to wake up. So let's get our cortisol rhythm on track. And naturally, when our bodies get at daylight first thing in the morning, our cortisol rises early in the morning. That's what gives you that boost of energy to start your day. This can be beneficial whether your cortisol is high or low in the mornings. We want to get it to a natural level. Again, at night, we want to dim the lights an hour before bed, avoid blue screens, so any electronics, at least 30 minutes to an hour before bed, and create really soft, low lighting in the environment. That can be candles, it can be lamps, warm amber bulbs. All of those are going to help that melatonin rise naturally and help the cortisol lower at night. And if you absolutely have to use or refuse to give up electronics, try to see if there is some kind of filter that you can use that filters out the blue lights or dims it significantly. We can also use body-based calming technique. One that I use often with my clients is the 3-6-9 method. So when your thoughts are racing, I know it can be so tempting to try to fix things in your head, to try to problem solve, sort through all of it, categorize it, find a solution to every little thing and add it to a to-do list for tomorrow, right? But the most effective way to calm your nervous system at night is through the body. So this 3-6-9 method does just that. It uses the body to calm the mind, kind of coaxes it out of that survival mode. So you can start by shaking, right, for 30 seconds. This can be you're just shaking your arms. It can be you're bouncing your legs. You can kind of just shake it out however you want to shake for 30 seconds. And then you can kind of hug yourself and just kind of sway for about 60 seconds. You can rock back and forth, or, you know, whatever's comfortable to you, whatever feels safe to your nervous system. And then soften for at least 90 seconds. So you can either sit and relax back in a comfortable chair and take some deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth, or even lie down with your legs up just for 90 seconds. The reason I love this practice is because it takes less than 3 minutes, right? So for people who, like me, who have a lot of anxiety and want to get things done quickly, and it sends really powerful signals to your brain in a short amount of time. We also need to start to create evening rituals that feel safe. And we kind of touched on that earlier when we were talking about dimming the lights before bed, or, you know, avoiding electronics for 30 to 60 minutes before bed. And that's a great place to start, right? But creating a more robust, it doesn't have to be real fancy, but giving your nervous system these little safety cues here and there consistently every single day is like this gentle rhythm that your body can count on. And it tricks it, or teaches it really, to start to wind down at night, even before the sun goes down, right? So you could have some warm herbal tea however long before bed, or an Epsom salt bath, or maybe a magnesium supplement, something that's going to help calm the system and tell it, hey, it's time to start winding down. And you want to like layer these one after another. So for me, it kind of changes throughout the year based on what I'm doing. But for me, I'll usually start with a bubble bath with Epsom salt. And then once that's done, you know, watch a little bit of TV, or read a book. And then I'll go make some chamomile tea, and then start winding down for bed even more with some yin yoga. And then I go to sleep. And on the nights that I do that, right? Because consistency can be a challenge sometimes. Let's be real. Life gets messy. Life is unpredictable, and there are challenges that are going to come up. But when I'm super consistent, and when my clients are consistent, sleep comes naturally. And it's not just, I fell asleep easier. It's, I fell asleep and stayed asleep. So, and just a couple of other things that you can do, things like prayer, journaling, meditation, some breath work. We want to give our brains and bodies permission to slow down, right? Instead of do. adding a blood sugar balancing snack. Bedtime snacks can essentially help your nervous system settle. So when blood sugar dips too low in the middle of the night, like we spoke about, your body's going to trigger that cortisol spike, right? And boom, you're awake. And then you have a hard time falling back asleep. And maybe at that point, you can't fall back asleep until 5 to 8 a.m., right? And then you're mad because you got to go to work. And you go to work anxious, maybe even clammy, and you just don't feel good, right? Because you didn't get good sleep. Small snacks with protein and healthy fats and maybe a little bit of carbs, like healthy carbs with fiber, about an hour before bed can help to keep that blood sugar stable. So you could have like maybe half a banana with some almond butter. Earlier, I think I mentioned boiled eggs or mixed nuts and seeds. Never want to have just straight carbs because those straight carbs are going to spike and then drop. So if you do want carbs, maybe like half a serving of oatmeal, but make sure you've got like almond butter or some flaxseed or hemp seeds, something that's going to give some protein and fats to kind of slow down how fast that sugar or carbs really get into the system. And I also want to say that think about food as medicine. Think about food as nourishment. We're not indulging. This is something that is supporting your body, supporting your nervous system that's trying to heal and recover. And lastly, this one might be the quietest, but it's also very powerful. So changing the way that you talk to yourself about rest. Because so many of us carry the story that we have to earn rest, right? Rest is earned. It's not something that we have a right to. But we don't have to really finish everything on our list before we deserve sleep. Your worth isn't measured by your output, right? And your body isn't a machine. So try to replace, I need to fall asleep, because that's what we often say to ourselves. We start to panic about the time just flying by. I need to sleep. I've got to go to sleep. I've got to get up for work in the morning. I am allowed to rest even if I don't fall asleep right away. My body knows how to rest, and I am safe to soften. And also remind yourself that sleep will come when I stop trying to force it, right? These are not just positive affirmations to blow off. These are ways to rewire your nervous system. They are neuroplastic tools that are going to retrain your brain and how it perceives that rest and that safety. So what I typically do with clients is we'll pick one, whatever they are most excited about or whatever they're more willing to stick to. We start with that for a week, and then the following week, if it worked well for them, we'll build on and just keep adding to that routine so that they start to have more restful, deep, and quality sleep so that their body can heal. So let me know in the comments below which one you are planning on starting with. What small moment are you most excited about, or do you think you're most likely to be consistent with? So, and if you want more support as you learn how to rest and regulate your nervous system and heal from this burnout, you are more than welcome to join our free community, The Garden, where we do share nervous system healing tools, weekly Q&As. We also have workshops and monthly masterclasses. All of that is going to be linked down below. And if this content was helpful for you, feel free to like, share, comment, and subscribe no matter what platform you're on. And we will see you in the next video.